Okay, so as I was saying, yeah, so I talked to this woman who was working on a project with some seniors, which is the nice way to say old people. And she said she had come up with these questions that she would ask everyone. So I thought, well, I'll just bring these to my mom and we'll do another 20 questions. So the first couple of ones are about as a child. So I think back all those many years ago. So as a kid, what was your favorite toy?
I had a doll that probably was the only doll I ever had that I got for Christmas one year.
Yeah. So what kind of doll was it? Do you remember?
It wasn't very big, you know. It wasn't a Betsy Wetsy or, you know, it was just an ordinary doll.
Yeah.
Came in a box, you know. Yeah, that's as far as I can remember.
That's the favorite one?
Yeah.
Okay. And then when you were young, what do you think you missed the chance to do?
Go to college.
Oh, yeah? Yeah.
If it hadn't been for the war was on, I would have made it.
Yeah. And what do you think you would have studied? What would your major have been?
Oh,
Have you thought about
I
that?
haven't really thought about it.
You know, because your mom was a teacher, so
Yeah.
do you think you would have maybe gone into education?
No, I don't think I would have gone into teaching.
No.
Something to do in the office, because I like bookkeeping and structured
Sure.
stuff like that. Yeah, I did filing and all that. Yeah, I would have liked that.
Okay. Oh, here's a good one. When you were a child, you know, the way these are worded, it says, I'm going to read this to you. It says, I learned that I had the ability to... What did you learn that you had the ability to do when you were little?
As a child?
Yeah, as a child. Seems like kind of an odd question. I don't know how I would even answer that one.
I was a reader. I mean, this was... My mother was a reader, too. And she would get books from the library in the mail. And she would get one historical novel and one western and a couple of detectives, and she would read them and then I would read them. Yeah, that's the one thing I can really remember about being very young, was reading. Yeah.
I remember that too. I remember going to school, like being in first grade and realizing that I knew how to read and a lot of those other kids didn't. And I think that's because of how we were raised.
That's possible, because I used to read to you kids all the time. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so as a child, it says, I learned to make money by... Did you have something you did as a child to make money?
I had a paper route, Sunday paper route when we lived in Dakota.
Really? So did you deliver on your bike or by walking
I
around?
didn't have a bike.
Silly me.
I don't think I ever had a bicycle.
Wow.
No, it wasn't a big long route or anything like that, but I remember the big bag over my shoulder
Oh, yeah.
and collecting the money and all that stuff.
Nancy, you can sit in here if you want and listen.
No, I had the Sunday, well, my brother had it first, and I don't know what happened, but I inherited it more or less from him.
Sure. Well, that was nice of him to give you the paper route.
Right.
Do you remember how much you would have made in a week?
No, I have no idea.
Okay.
See, any job that I've ever had, except at the Touch of Class, I had no idea what I was paid. Never. I knew I had enough money for food and to pay the rent. And what was left over I spent on clothes, of course.
Imagine that. So
But that
even
was
back
it.
then, you really had a thing for clothes. Why do you think that is?
Well, I probably inherited that from my mother, too, because she was a good seamstress. Could make something out of nothing. And we would get these nice clothes from my aunts who lived in Canada. And she could make them over for herself or for us kids.
So do you think that's how you learned to alter clothes?
Oh, I'm sure I did. Picked up a lot of stuff from her.
Yeah. I didn't know that about your mom, that she
Oh,
was a
yeah.
seamstress too, but
Oh,
that kind
yeah.
of makes sense, and you've kind of passed
Well,
that
I
down.
mean, we had to scrounge for clothes sometimes. And of course, we passed things down from, but the part of the problem was I was smaller than my sister Peggy, and she liked to borrow my clothes, and she split more than one seam.
Ah, those memories never go away, do they? Okay, so as a child, tell me what you really liked about your town. Now, I know this might be hard because you lived in a lot of different places.
Which town did I like the best?
There you go. Let's go with that.
I think I liked living in Dakota because I had a best friend who parents had the lumber company at the north end of the town, and I don't know how long we lived there or anything, but yeah, that was a nice town, and the people were good. That's where I learned the difference between, some people were Methodists and some were Protestant, I suppose, and there were 2 or 3 families that were Catholic. Well, that's when I went to high school, too. There were 2 or 3, and they always went to Onalaska to church.
Oh, so they came from Dakota, which is a few miles up the river, to Onalaska to go to church.
Yeah.
Okay. This next one asks about as a family. So as a family, and I know, growing up your family was Scattered.
Yeah.
What did you do for fun as a family?
Oh, we had one Christmas, my mother managed to get the board game Big Business, which was like Monopoly.
Wow, okay.
And we played that all winter long. My father was home and sober, and we wore out that board game.
Wow, so...
Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah, we had a lot of fun that winter.
Can you think of any other things that you did for fun as a family?
Oh, in the winter we went sledding and skiing and, things like that. As a family, I don't know.
You were kind of scattered, I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we lived in so many different houses. And I know that every time we moved, I lost something. Or, forgot to bring it along or something. Yeah. But I must have gotten used to it or something, because it wasn't a big deal. But at least I stayed almost in one place when I was going to high school. I went all 4 years at home, which was nice.
That must have been nice. So would you say that 4 years in high school, was that one of the longest or one of the longest times you lived in the same town?
In the same town, not in the same house.
Oh, that's a different thing, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, yeah. Probably. We didn't live very long in Ohio.
How old were you when you lived in Ohio?
I was, moved from Genoa to Ohio just after Dorothy was born, so I must have been 5. Because the school was right down the road from where we lived with my father's aunt, Aunt Lib. She was nice.
Aunt Lib, like Libby, short for Elizabeth.
Or Elizabeth.
Maybe?
Her name was Elizabeth. They called her Aunt Lib.
Aunt Lib. Yeah, but that...
I don't know. What was the question?
I know. I kind of forgot the question too. The original question was, as a family, we did this for fun, but then we kind of digressed into.
Oh, we used to go for rides. We had a nice car when we lived in Ohio.
What kind of car?
Oh, huh?
What kind of car and what color was it?
I think it was like a Buick or a Pontiac. It was a big car.
Yeah.
And it had these flower vases in the back seat.
Inside?
Yeah.
Wow. You know, they do that on the Volkswagen Beetles today.
Oh, really?
There's a little flower. Yes. But tell me about that. So it was a big car. What color
Yeah.
was it? Do you remember?
I thought it was a Pontiac or a Buick or something like that, but
Okay.
it was a big car. I fell out of it one time.
How did that happen?
When we lived there, it had this curved driveway up by the front door, and it was gravel.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know why I already stopped the car or what, but I fell out. I had gravel on my breast and on my hands. And my sister Peggy came out right behind. She always said, "I was just trying to save you."
So were you driving?
Oh no, my
Oh.
father was driving.
Okay. I was
I'm sure my
confused.
mother was, the rest of the family was there. Yeah, we used to go for rides.
Mm-hmm. So where did you go? Do you
Oh,
remember?
just around the countryside, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
We weren't close. Well, we were close to a small town named Clyde.
Clyde.
I think that's where my father was born. Anyhow,
Clyde, Ohio?
yeah,
Okay.
it's in the Sandusky area, and yeah, I remember those days. And one time, I had a pretty scarf. It was made out of a fabric they called pongee.
Pongee?
It must have been silk.
Yeah, I bet it was.
Anyhow, I really liked it. And we were going someplace in the car, and I was holding it out the window, let the wind blow it.
Yeah.
And my father said, "If you let go of that, I'm not going back to pick it up." Of course, I
Okay.
lost it. And he didn't come back.
Of course you
I
lost it.
had been warned, It wasn't that he was mean or anything like that. Yeah, that dress that Aunt Beth is wearing in their family picture was made out of that fabric they called pongee. I
Pongee.
think it must have been silk.
I think you're right. It sounds...
And it was kind of a peach color. I think I wore that dress once. Beth outgrew it. Yeah.
Okay. Some of these we've kind of already answered, but when you were growing up, what did you think you needed more of?
Clothes.
Clothes, really?
New clothes. And at one time, I didn't have a decent pair of shoes. But it was mostly clothes. That's what I needed. I'm in my mind.
In your mind.
Yes.
Do you think you really needed more clothes, or do you think...
Well, no, it was adequate is what we had. We didn't have a whole lot of... But we had school clothes and play clothes. I remember that part. Yeah.
Okay. Was there anything else that you thought you needed more of besides clothes?
No, not that I can think of.
Okay. And when you were young, well, the question is, I was sorry that...
What?
I was sorry that...
Oh! Well, I was sorry that my father was not like other kids' fathers. I loved him dearly, but I was very disappointed in him. Because I don't remember what we were filling out a form of something, father's occupation. I had no idea he wasn't even home, and he didn't like farming. I know that. He was a pretty good mechanic, but he just couldn't be trusted. Somebody that he worked for lent him their car and gave him a grocery list and some money. And I knew when they did that you're never going to see him again.
Wow.
And they found the car, and that's when we lived up by home, and found the car in La Crosse, and no money, no groceries or anything. I knew it when it happened, that they shouldn't have trusted him. But that's the way he was.
Yeah. He was an alcoholic.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I realized that. I must have been out of high school already when I realized it, I never had any contact with anybody who was an alcoholic. So,
Yeah.
but he was born in North Dakota. His mother died when he was about 9 years old. And his two sisters went to Canada to live,
Canada?
whatever that
We call
is.
it Canada.
Canada to live. And he was raised by his father and 3 or 4 brothers.
Oh.
And he dropped out of school after 6th grade or something like that. So, it was different.
Mm-hmm.
So I always said that I was different. My dentist's wife said something to me about most people do this. And I said, I'm not like most people. I'm different. Because I was the 3rd child of a 3rd child of a 3rd child.
Really?
Yeah, and David was too. We had that discussion several times about being that rotation in being the middle child.
I'm the middle child. I know,
Yeah,
I know
right.
what that's like. So no matter how many kids. Okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you were the middle child.
Yes. Called him the Chinaman.
From the Chinaman, yes. I think
middle.
I was from the milkman, I've been told.
Yeah, and the middle child. I don't know what. But of course, like I said, I had been the baby for almost 5 years before Dorothy came along. And that was traumatic. But my nose was out of joint, I know that.
Oh, because your mother had another child?
Well, yeah,
And
I'd
you
been
were-
the baby all these years, and everybody sort of catered to me. I had my older sister and an older brother, but I got over that.
Eventually.
Yeah, eventually.
I don't know. You kind of had that look on your face when you said that first when Dorothy came along. I don't know if you're over it, Mom.
No,
Oh,
no, I was good friends with my sisters. Peggy and I used to have some differences once in a while, but she wasn't that much older than me, but she was kind of boy crazy there for a while, and
boy crazy.
I wasn't interested in boys.
No. What
But
were
I
you
was
interested in?
more interested in reading and going to a movie once. I think I was in 8th grade before I went to a movie. It was at the Hollywood Theater. My teacher took the whole 8th grade class.
Yeah. What did you see?
Oh,
I know you remember. Just think about it.
I'm thinking something about the Lonesome Pine. It was
Lonesome.
Henry Fonda and Sylvia.
We'll find out.
I could see her
That must have been
along
cool
in the
to see
40s.
that. Yeah,
Well,
in the 40s.
late 30s,
Wow.
because we were still in school.
Yeah.
Yeah, Miss Mackey took us to the movie.
Wow.
I was kind of hooked on movies for a while too. When we lived in town here, like 9th and Adams, we could walk downtown and go to a movie. And the Wisconsin Theater, which burned down.
Yeah, a lot of them did back then.
I remember my father taking to the family at the Bijou, which was on 3rd Street,
Yeah.
along where...
Isn't that like where the Blue Tiger ended up? Or
Yeah. Or the Dutch Mill was in there at one
I
time.
know that one.
Yeah, it was just a little tiny theater, but it cost a nickel
Yeah.
for kids under a certain age. And he's trying to convince the person selling tickets that I was less than 5, I think. She didn't believe him. He probably didn't have the nickel. No, but I can remember that. It was a really small theater. Bijou is small in French, right?
I didn't know that. I think you're right, though. Bijou?
Uh-huh.
Well, there you go.
Mrs. Bucket. That's where I
You learned that from
that
Mrs.
from
Bucket.
That's about the only thing I ever learned from her.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Should I ask you another question?
yeah.
There's a couple more here. Okay, well, and we've kind of talked about some of this, but what was your favorite house in all the houses you've lived in?
All the houses.
Yeah.
Probably the little red brick one in Alma.
Mm.
We lived on the upper street in Alma. Alma has, this runs on the highway, and up above is the upper street.
Yeah.
We lived in that little red brick house where Mrs. Foster upstairs.
That's right.
And next to it, I wish I could find that picture, was a stone building. I think it's still there.
Yeah.
They called it the normal school. It was the teacher's college.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a picture of my Grandpa Hill with Alice Hazelwood, which would have been his granddaughter.
Yeah.
And I must have been Uncle Earl Hazelwood, because Alice was Hazelwood. She was the youngest one of the Hazelwood.
So that was your favorite house. And
Yes.
why was that your favorite house?
I don't know, I think it was warm,
Mm.
for one thing. And it was close to the school.
Mm-hmm.
That was just down the road from it.
Yeah.
It was a big old school. It had hardwood floors that they used some sort of cleaning stuff like sawdust.
Sure.
It was treated sawdust. And I think every night the janitor came in, spread this around and swept it off and cleaned it. Yeah, that was a nice school. I don't remember the name of any teacher there, but I do remember the ones in Maple Shade School. I remember those, and in high school.
So where was Maple Shade?
Up by Holman.
Okay.
We found it.
Did you? Oh, when you went out driving with
Yeah,
Nancy?
yeah.
Okay, that must have been
This
fun.
little brick building.
Cute.
I still would like to see the bell tower.
Yeah.
Well, that guy was going to send me a picture of that building in its glory, you know.
We can get one of those.
But they had a nice pamphlet. I thought we could have that pamphlet, but I guess not.
Yeah.
But I think one of these days it'll show up. He was
yeah.
a very nice person.
Okay, I'm going to ask you a couple more questions,
Okay.
okay? Because the natives are getting restless. I think they want to come
Yeah,
in.
I noticed that.
As a child, I dreamed of being
Cowgirl.
a cowgirl.
Oh, I was going to be a cowgirl. Oh,
Really?
my aunt sent a pair of jodhpurs one time.
Jodhpurs?
Yeah.
Really? Like riding breeches?
Yeah, and my brother had a pair of boots, lace-up boots that came to the knee.
Mm-hmm.
Boy, I dressed up in that. more than once.
Wow.
Oh, I was going to be a cowgirl. I
Wow.
love Western.
You'd have been a great cowgirl.
Giddy up! I think about the first time I ever rode a horse, I fell right off. Slid right off the back of it.
Uh-huh. Were you on a saddle or bareback?
I'm bareback.
Of course.
I didn't hurt myself.
Okay, so as a child, when I was a child, I wanted what did you want that you never got? I mean, like a thing. Or did you ever even want a thing?
Like a toy, or not necessarily a toy, a piece of clothing, or...
It's always the clothes, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I've always been that way.
I know.
That's why I got all those clothes in that closet.
Don't worry about that.
What did I want when I was a child?
Yeah.
I remember some boy gave me a wristwatch one time.
Really?
And of course I couldn't keep it because
Oh, no.
I would have been engaged to him. There was no... And I really wanted it. I can't think of anything.
Oh.
I don't know. I didn't mind, I was thinking a stable lifestyle,
Yeah.
you know, and there were lots of times when I wished I had what other kids had.
Yeah.
Because those kids that I went to high school with especially were farm people, and they had a mother and a father and a couple of other kids in the family.
Yeah.
And I didn't have that.
No, never did.
Yeah.
Can you think of anything that you never had enough of as a child?
That I what?
That you never had enough of?
There was a time we didn't have enough to eat. But I don't remember that real well.
Yeah.
Only one time I remember the only thing in the house was grapes, which grew in the backyard.
Wow.
And the next day we had food. I don't know where my mother got it. But that was that one time there wasn't a thing in the house.
Oh, that must have been scary.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you have a best friend growing up?
Oh, more than one.
More
really.
than one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When we lived in Alma, when I went to this school, there was a pair of twins lived down the street. They were good friends. One was, I don't know, particularly like the name, more normal, but she was.
Yeah.
And the other one must have had, what do you call that?
So was she maybe like autistic or
Yeah, something like that.
Asperger's
And she was almost blind.
Oh,
So I would read to her.
of course she would.
And they were best friends.
What were their names?
I think one's name was Gloria. I don't remember.
Yeah.
But I can remember the book that I had.
What was the book?
Well, I think it was mostly nursery rhymes because my Aunt Alberta used to send us books at Christmas time. I had a really nice one of nursery rhymes. No, I would read to her, and I couldn't have been more than third, maybe fourth grade.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, they were really nice girls. But I don't think I felt sorry for her.
Yeah.
Because I don't know why. Maybe it was because I could do something for her.
Yeah, you were just happy. No, maybe you just kind of did what you did because that's the way you
I
were
think-
raised. You were always helping.
Yeah, and I think at times the other kids teased her because
Sure.
she wasn't like. And of course, I was not like other kids either all the time. I'm different. I'm different. I even told the doctor that one time.
Yeah.
He said something about. I think it was after the open heart surgery. He said most 82-year-olds don't bounce back as fast. And I said, "You're not talking to an ordinary 82-year-old." He still remembered that when I saw him the last time.
I bet he does.
Yeah. No, I can see her just as plain as day. Her eyes were like clouded over. I think she could walk quite well.
Yeah.
And her twin sister took really good care of her. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't remember their parents at all, but
Yeah.
it's a long time ago.
Oh. Well, that's the only questions I have.
Wow. We digressed a little bit, but otherwise, yeah, they're different than the other ones that you. But when Andy did Bernard and then he did me, there was several that we both answered the same.
I remember that.
Yeah.
That was pretty cool.
Well, I suppose we had been married quite a while at that time,
Yeah.
and and I was really surprised. I had that disc around here someplace.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's not going away. So this is just a little bit of an update, just more
Yeah.
about you.
Yeah.
So I know it's been great reminiscing
Well,
with
that's
you.
good.
Yeah. You have anything else you want to share on camera? Or not?
Not really.
Okay. Thanks, Mom.
Just when you or you put that on a disc, take out the wrinkles.
Oh. Will do, Mom. Okay, then we're out.